Hello, my fellow riders and scribes. Today, I'm going to go through Violet Sorrengail's unforgettable training montage with you. We've all read her story, but you might not have seen it in your head like this. This video is meant for those who have read or are reading the Empyrean series. But if you're still planning on going in blind in the future, this video is not for you. With all that out of the way, buckle up. Violet Sorrengail never imagined herself flying. Though she grew up moving between military posts as the daughter of Navarre's most ruthless general, her world was anchored by her best friend, Dane Athos, and the quiet sanctuary of the archives. She spent her entire life training to become a scribe, just like her beloved father, burying herself in history, logic, and ancient fables. Her father was her safe harbor against a mother who respected strength above all else, a commanding general who barely tolerated Violet's fragile existence, reserving her love and respect for her warrior children. That quiet future shattered when her father's heart failed. Stripped of her only protector, Violet faced the cold reality of her mother's command when, exactly 6 months before conscription day, General Sorrengail issued an absolute decree. No daughter of hers would enter the Scribe Quadrant. Violet's lifelong preparation was erased, replaced by 6 months of grueling, desperate physical training under Major Gilstead. On the morning of her conscription, her safe, academic world was packed away into crates, and she was ordered to walk the deadly Parapet into the Riders Quadrant, or die trying. Everyone tells her she is going to die on the Parapet. Her sister calls her fragile, and her best friend begs her to flee to the Scribe Quadrant. But she doesn't run. She even offers a stranger one of her good boots to help her cross. Yet, as she steps onto that rain-slicked, 18-inch wide stone bridge, suspended 200 feet above a jagged ravine, she is absolutely terrified. When a bully decides she is easy prey and hunts her across the slick stone to hurl her into the abyss, our girl doesn't freeze. Relying on her scribe-trained mind to stay focused, she pushes through the paralyzing panic. When he lunges for her, she dodges and threatens to castrate him. In that moment, Violet shows that what she lacks in strength, she more than compensates for with sheer will and delusion. Inside the walls of Basgiath, Violet's fragile body presents a constant liability. Her bones snap during her very first sparring match, and everyone is out to get her. She quickly realizes that fighting fair will only get her killed. Consequently, she weaponizes her scribe-trained mind, slipping toxic roots and hallucinogenic berries into her opponent's meals to survive the sparring mat. While her childhood friend Dane desperately tries to keep her in a glass cage and begs her to quit, her ridiculously handsome enemy Xaden takes the exact opposite approach. He refuses to coddle her. Instead, he forces her to train, pushing her through the agony until she becomes a lethal weapon. This brutal evolution culminates at the Gauntlet. When her small stature makes scaling the final vertical ramp impossible, Violet does not yield. She drives a steel dagger directly into the sheer wood and hauls herself over the edge, rule-sharking her opponents. Basgiath keeps asking for muscle, and she keeps answering with her brains. And that's why threshing is so extremely satisfying. For months, humans measured Violet by her fragile bones and physical limitations to assess her potential as a rider. The thing is, they don't even realize they don't have a clue what makes a good rider. When ruthless cadets corner a defenseless golden feathertail in the valley, Violet once again doesn't flee. She puts herself between their blades and the vulnerable dragon, willing to die to protect it. A legendary black dragon, Tern, darkens the skies. He chooses her because she is the smartest and most cunning of her year, and chose to protect the Feathertail. And in that moment, she is weak no more. Because the Feathertail decides to bond her as well, which is absolutely unheard of. For the first time, Violet's differences aren't something to make up for. They are the very things that make her extraordinary. And the brand new relic that appears on her back, bearing the silhouettes of two dragons, makes that visible. To everyone's surprise, she is a rider. You'd think bonding a legendary dragon would finally grant Violet safety. Instead, it paints a massive target on her back. A desperate faction of unbonded riders would gladly kill for even a slim chance to claim Tern. Then, a more fundamental threat emerges: gravity. Her fragile joints fail to hold her seat during high-speed maneuvers, repeatedly hurling her from Tern's back toward the ground. Her obsession with proving she needs no help nearly costs her her life. I'm not sure who she's trying to fool at this point, but survival demands adaptation. Violet stops pretending to be the brawny warrior Basgiath expects, and finally sheds the shame of her frail body. And when Xaden gifts her a custom-engineered saddle to keep her in the sky, she finally takes it. She learns that dropping her defenses and accepting help isn't weakness. It's how she fights on her own terms. Tragically, this hard-won lesson in vulnerability comes with a devastating price. Just as Violet learns to embrace support and trust others, her oldest friend, Dane, exploits that exact openness. Under the guise of comforting touches, he secretly uses his Signet to read her unguarded secrets without her permission. I hate that for her. At Basgiath, Violet spent months hiding behind the moral high ground of the weak. She mistook her defenselessness for mercy, playing the part of the lamb because she lacked the teeth to be a predator. But when her Signet finally manifests, that illusion shatters. She doesn't just get a power, she summons lightning, the loudest, most undeniable violence in the quadrant. The first time she takes a life, the reality check is brutal. Her previous refusal to kill wasn't a choice. It was a luxury afforded by her own fragility. Now that she carries the most destructive force at Basgiath, she can no longer outsource the dirty work to others while keeping her own conscience clean. That wasn't innocence. It was egoism. As Xaden forces her to realize, she is no longer just a rider with a weapon. She is the weapon. Her arc is no longer about proving she can survive the fall. It's about the terrifying transition from the one being hunted to the one who strikes. For the first time, she must learn the true meaning of restraint, because mercy only exists when you actually have the power to destroy. Violet's journey resonates because it rejects the cliché that she was already enough. The truth is, the doubters were right. At the start, Violet was a liability who masked her dependence with a prickly, ungrateful pride. She famously refused help while simultaneously being saved by the very people she judged, clinging to a moral high ground that was funded by the sacrifices of others. She wasn't good. She was simply harmless, a passenger who held everyone else to standards she lacked the strength to meet. Her growth is brutal. She chooses to be a burden no longer and starts putting in the grueling miles required to build real capacity. Her transformation begins the moment she sheds that defensive ego and faces the hypocrite in the mirror. She realizes that to truly be a person of integrity, she must stop living as a victim and start doing the work to become a protector herself. By the end, Violet finally earns the right to lead. She isn't a girl who miraculously found her power. She is a woman who forged it out of pain and raw accountability. She bridges the gap between her scribe's mind and a rider's heart, aiming to meet the impossible standards she once imposed on everyone but herself. She didn't just survive the storm, she became the one who commands it, proving that while she was born a scribe, she did the work to die a rider. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps your imagination take flight. If you enjoyed the ride, bless the algorithm with a like and subscribe so I can keep these coming. See you next time.